Because a lot of people don't know. They think adoption is like this magical thing and that it can happen. And it's like, yeah, it is amazing. It is such a blessing, but it is work and it is hard work and it is emotionally taxing.
Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Okay, we're going to try and keep it serious today on Marvelous Moms Club. Welcome to the show. I have such an amazing guest who has become one of my nearest, dearest, most incredible friends, somebody that I want in my corner, like when I'm on my deathbed, because she's just that fabulous. So welcome to the podcast, the amazing, the wonderful Amy Twitty.
Woo! And the crowd.
Cue the laughter.
Wild.
The laughter.
Cue
Yes.
the laughter.
Cue the applause.
Oh, that's so nice of you. That's so nice of you.
It's true.
So true. I love you and adore you equally the same, if not more. I feel so.
I will contest you on that more thing. I don't know that it's possible to go higher than my adoration, but whatever.
Oh, it's amazing.
Okay. So let's talk. I mean, if you're living under a rock, I mean, maybe you're living under a rock that doesn't include social media, and that's totally fine. But Amy is really, truly one of the most incredible people on my social media newsfeed because she's so inspiring. And the way that they've had to grow their family, she and her husband, Casey, has been the way a lot of people have to grow their family. You've dealt with infertility and you have had to adopt 2 of your children. And now I'm like involved in the process now. We're involved, like we're ready for baby number 3.
Everyone's pregnant with me. That's what we call it. I'm pregnant right now.
Yeah. Exactly. I love it. So let's kind of rewind because I've heard your story in pieces, but I really want to hear like how many years you kind of struggled before deciding that adoption was going to be the right solution and then how you went to work on making that happen.
Yeah. I am an overshare on the social media world. So a lot of people feel like they know me because I do share so much, but it's honestly led us to how we have grown our family because I have opened those doors up and shared just like the real, the struggles, the raw, the good. So my husband and I, Casey, have been married. It'll be 19 years in August, which seems like 80 years. Not because I don't love him and it hasn't been a great time, but it just seems so long. Like it seems, I do not feel old enough to be married that long. But yeah, we've been married 19 years and we honestly really started, I'll never forget, we thought we were pregnant the first month we were married. And I was like, hold up, how is this going to happen? Our life has just changed, gone from being married at 19 to all of a sudden having a baby.
Oh my gosh.
Then it took, after that experience, we took a couple years and we just focused on my husband's school and I worked full time. And it was about a couple years after we had been married, about 3 years, that we really started focusing on growing a family. And at that time, honestly, my sister, who's 10 years older than me, was going through infertility struggles. She had been for years. And so we kind of got the backseat picture to that. And I kind of saw like, oh, maybe this is in my future because we're literally like twins 9 years apart. Everything that happens to her happens to me. And so we really started like looking at it and just seeing their experiences. And then we started having struggles. We went to all the specialists. We did IVF a few times. It came down to the point where we were going to do in vitro, and our blessed doctor, honestly, he looked at us and he said, I wouldn't do it. He just had like, I don't know if he tells all his patients this. I can't imagine he does, but we had told him we are either going to do this or we're going to do adoption. And he, bless this man's heart, said, I wouldn't do it. Like it's not, I can see that if I were you, I would do adoption because he just felt like based on our history, that would not be beneficial for us. And so that's when we decided that we would really start looking into adoption. And to be honest, even going through and watching both my sister and my brother adopt their kids, it took us years to get on the same path, because as you grow up and you learn, you imagine like, oh my gosh, well, of course we're going to get married, and of course we're going to have children, and we're going to have the white picket fence, and everything's going to come as planned, right? So when that starts to not happen that way, especially in a marriage, and then there's issues of not who's to blame, but who really, like who is at, like what's causing this issue. And then that can cause problems within marriage. It really can. And so it took us a few years to kind of get on the same page with adoption, because it is a completely different path and a completely different mindset as to how you're going to grow your family. And then finally, when we did, it came to be, we, at that time we had put our papers in through an agency. It's through LDS Social Services, which unfortunately is no longer in business, but we had our papers in through them. And we actually then, we waited about a year with that process. And my husband's coworker, literally, I'll never forget, they obviously knew we had been hoping for adoption. On a Thursday afternoon, called Casey into the office and said, listen, my in-laws have experience with, they had run an orphanage. This was up north, northern Utah. Not the orphanage wasn't in northern Utah, but they had experience. They lived in northern Utah. And they said, listen, we have their daughter's best friend had literally just decided that, 6 months, she had this baby 6 months ago, and the entire 6 months she had been trying to place this baby with an agency and with families, and she just never felt good about it. Like it would get down to the point and she would back away. And then finally one day she decided, I can't do this anymore. And she placed this baby in custody of this couple. And it happened to be my husband's coworkers' in-laws, if you can keep track of that. Circle.
Yeah. Let's draw a map.
Let's draw a map. And so he said, listen, there's this beautiful 6-month-old baby. If you feel inclined at all, like, here's a picture of her. It was on a flip phone. We got the little picture, if you can imagine. Nowadays, a tiny, tiny screen of this gorgeous little girl. And I knew in my heart, I was like, that's our baby. Like, I was like, that's our child. And we drove up the next morning. We didn't tell family, because a lot of times we had gone through the ups and downs of adoption, and we had unfortunately had some adoptions fall through. And so at this point, we were very, very private.
Careful.
With
How many did you have follow through?
We had 2 fall through at that point.
Oh,
and
man.
So we were like walking on eggshells, and we proceeded with caution. But we also knew you also have to approach things with a clear mind and say, like, you never know. Like, you never know. You have to, as hard as it is, you have to put yourself out there. And so we went up on Friday and met her, and we took her to a park. Imagine like this 6-month-old baby. She doesn't have a lot of clothes. She literally has a brand new car seat. She has whatever like baby formula that this family has bought for her. And she is still so happy. Like, this baby has never, like, she has been loved, but she's been neglected a little bit. And yet we just took her, and it just felt complete. Like, in that moment, it felt absolutely complete. Like, how in the world, where have you been the last 6 months? That's what we felt like. And, as strange as it is, it sounds to people, we're like, yeah, we took her home. Like, we knew this was our child. It was like, we just felt everything came together. And we called our family, and I called my boss and quit my job on the drive home. And
oh my goodness,
that I had worked at for 10 years. And I said, I quit. Like, I'm a mom now. And, we called our family, and that's how we literally became parents for Olivia, our oldest, overnight. and
I
it's
love
absolutely
that story.
crazy. But yet
So
knowing
you
too
had
what
your
we
first
had gone
baby at a
through.
park.
Yeah, we met our baby at a park. And what's cool about that, so we call that her gotcha day, which in the adoption world is the day that usually bring your baby home, which can either happen 2 days after, like after they've been in the hospital. So our second daughter, her gotcha day is 2 days after her birthday. You know, we kind of celebrate hers as her birthday. But with Olivia's being 6 months after, we celebrate her gotcha day, and we go to the same park every year. And we recreate it, and we will forever do that because it's her special day. She kind of thinks she gets 2 birthdays a year, which is kind of
I
unfair
mean,
for
I feel
everyone.
like she should. I don't feel like that's unfair at all. I think that's perfectly fair.
She milks it for all it's worth. Trust me. Yeah, she's no dummy.
So she was an only child for like 7 years, right? Close to 7 years?
Yeah, 7 years. And within that time frame, we had put our papers in with a couple other agencies, and we had another adoption fall through totally last minute. We went to the birth mom was having the baby. We drove 4 hours to this location and to meet her, and her birth mom decided to parent. And that honestly was probably one of the hardest moments in my life, is picking myself up back up from that moment and realizing like, you can do this. Cause you know, like we knew we wanted to grow our family. We knew that this is what was meant to be. You can't blame that birth mom, birth dad for wanting to do that. Like, so you have to have, that is completely their call. You have to have respect for that, as challenging as it is from your perspective. But it was a really, really hard time.
I can't
And
even
then looking
imagine.
back, yeah. But it honestly, those moments, that moment led to me turning into a business. Like I literally came back from that weekend. I took a few days. I didn't get out of bed. and and then what it did is I rallied around my best friends and I said, we're going to throw a party. And that turned into this magnificent business where we talked about leadership, and we talked about women, and we talked about the power that we have. And it led to this great thing where I just knew that I had to take the focus and the pain off of myself and turn it into something good for other people, as much as I could, because I knew I could sit in that pain for a very long time. But I knew that that wasn't healthy for myself or my family as well.
I think that's a pain space that a lot of people, I have seen people older live in that space their entire lives because they just, it almost becomes like a safe place to just continue to wallow in the story that you have chosen to accept as your story, instead of like finding a new solution, finding a new ending, finding a new chapter. And so I love that that led to a business, which is, I'm assuming, where Live and Hope came from.
Yeah, it actually did. And that's where it was kind of a couple businesses where I started Live and Hope, which is Olivia. That's our oldest daughter's Liv. We call her Liv. And then I knew that throughout this entire journey, we had to have hope. And that's what it led to. And that's actually Millie's middle name is Miliana Hoped. So it's like come full circle, but it was a constant reminder for myself to know, like, you can't give up. And there were many variables in that scenario. Like I knew that my husband and I, we wanted to have a larger family. And I knew that our daughter deserved to have a sibling. Like, so you kind of have to just push forward. And my faith like led me to that as well. Like I knew that this was not the end. Trust me, there were times where I was like, just sit and wallow in that. And that was in some ways a lot easier than pushing forward and progressing. But at the end of the day, like that's not how I wanted to live my life or show Olivia how I wanted to live my life.
Yeah.
So
what did you do with the business then? Like, what are some of the things that you did? Because when I met you, I mean, you had Millie already, but she was probably a baby. I've known you for about 2.5 years ish, but really I've only gotten to know you like closely as like a close friend in the last 6 months or so. So like, what were you kind of doing in that time? I know you said you had like a really, really hard failed adoption, But how did that progress from being like, because that's really, you just explained to me like your mission and your why and how it came about. So what did you do with it?
So really what we did was we've always had to be really creative. A lot of times people with adoption, you have to put yourself out there, both for the desire to adopt, because a lot of times that's how adoption happens, is word of mouth. And but then we had to financially prepare ourselves for another adoption. And that's where my push and my drive came from, was doing all that I can to contribute. Like, this is my job. Like, my husband works to pay the bills for the family. My job is literally to save money for adoptions. Like, that's my sole purpose. Not my sole purpose, but it's one of them,
That's your driving force.
That is my driving force. Everything I've done the last 13 years has been progressing towards this. And so what I did was I just got creative with the skills that I felt like I had, and I made children's tents and sold them at boutiques. I did T-shirts with our mission, like with messages of like hope on them. What else have I done? We've gotten creative, and that's what I've had to do. I feel like I've like always like the circus act, like what's she gonna come up with next? But everything is always driven back, and that's what's given me always hope, is that I knew my why. Like, I knew what was the driving force, and I wasn't embarrassed by it. Like, yeah, it's hard to put yourself out there, but everything I've done has led me back to my why, and I knew the purpose. I knew why I was doing it, and I knew that the efforts would pay off.
Yeah.
And it's paid forward. So we've kind of done a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I know you have. And I love it because I feel like it's kind of like watching somebody build like the Great Wall of China brick by brick. Like I know you've sold like printables for like $1 each. And for me, it's like, oh my gosh, how many printables are you going to be able to sell to get to like, I mean, adoption, for anybody listening who doesn't know this, is very, very expensive because there's so many different layers of costs that happen. So you're looking at like $50,000, somewhere in that range. And so I'm thinking like, okay, you have a good Instagram following, but my word, do all of them buy a printable? How is this ever going to happen? But like, I love that you've gotten creative with it because you've added those different elements and layers. I mean, even becoming a mascara artist, you weren't really sure why you felt called to do it because it really wasn't like your genius zone, right? Like, I know it certainly wasn't mine. But now it's like you've been able to continue that message and that purpose. And all of that has, I mean, even like, I don't know, we just have such a cool sisterhood and so many people willing to rally and support each other. And so I think not only just for the job and making the money from it, having that network and having those people and those friendships that have grown from doing that. I just love that you haven't been afraid to try anything. You've just said, yes, I'll do it if it gets me closer to building my family where it needs to be.
The printables that I've done, I've tried to just get creative with everything that I possibly can do. And what I did was, with the printables, I want to try and reach a broad range of people. So for offering a printable for $1, like, I hope everyone has $1. But then also just expanding that. So to different, like selling mascara, that I am opening up the door for a lot of people to be able to offer for them something that I can offer back to them as payment. Like, because I've never wanted a handout from people. I've always wanted to work for every single penny we've earned. And that's why I've tried to open up the door and do a variety of things at different price points, really.
Yeah. So how did that work out for you this most recent time when you submitted a video to win a contest so that you could get $10,000? That was just, you knew that's not a guarantee to win a contest, but you were just really putting a lot of faith in that, right?
Right. I mean, yeah. I still am on cloud nine from all this. I don't think it's really sunk in. So there was a company that was offering a contest, which I am fully aware. I had no guarantee that I was going to win this, but I had the strongest feeling, just apply. And I was like, this is the strangest, like, I love this company. I support this company, but I'm like, this is really like out there. But I felt really prompted to do it. And so we submitted this video with the girls, and the response and the support. And again, we're sharing our entire message again, that we're trying to grow our family throughout this message, throughout the way we're sharing this content. And everybody was so supportive. Like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is so cute. So then it came down to the voting, and we didn't win. And it stung. It was hard because I felt,
I bet.
not that we didn't win the contest. Like, it's not about that. It was that I felt strong to do it, and that nothing panned out because of it. And that was a really hard thing to, like, a really hard pill to swallow. Like, well, why did we put ourselves out there? Like, I'm always putting myself out there, and then nothing came from it. And of course, then you try and spin it into this positive thing. And my family's so amazing. And everyone's like, well, maybe a birth mom saw it. Maybe a family member saw this and knows that your family is looking to adopt. Like, you never, ever know. And so we really just tried to hold that, that faith in that whole experience. And this was on a Friday, and Saturday we just kind of like unplugged and spent time together as a family. And Sunday we come home, and little did I know that my best friends, my neighborhood girlfriends, like, had all been sharing this on social media. They had all blocked me on social media. And
speaking of which, I need to unblock you on mine. I think I still have you blocked on my Insta story.
See, and it worked out because I honestly was like, I just didn't. And then there were kinks, and I was like, oh, Instagram's just being funny. Like, that's bizarre. But I honestly was like, I just need to unplug from social media for a day or two, because there was some criticism there, and it was a really hard time. And so I just decided, let's just unplug. And so little did I know, like I said, my friends and hundreds of people had been rallying around our family and sharing this message of, this was our hope. It didn't pan out that way, but people still wanted to support us and still wanted to offer what they could. And these people, these amazing hundreds of people, I don't even know a lot of these people. My friends surprised us with a check for $17,000, and you'll never, like, that was almost to the penny what we needed to earn. We were going to finance. We have worked for years to do our part towards the $50,000 goal. And it came down to the point where we felt prompted to do this. I know that there's a baby out there soon. And I had to push forward, and I'm like, we just have to use all our resources as much as we possibly can. So when this check was presented to us from hundreds of people who donated $1, $5, $20, like, the majority of people donated $1 or $5, like, and they think that didn't make a difference. They think that didn't make a difference. And it just goes to show that people are so good, and that every single person can make a difference. And it just restored my faith in, like, that people are so good, and that other people can help and contribute, and that I hope they know that everything counts that they do. And it's not just like a money thing. It's the fact that they were willing to put aside any sacrifices that they were doing for their family and contribute that to ours. And I honestly, like, it's grown to $20,000 now. And it's insane, and it's a humbling experience to go through. And I wish every person could experience this love and support that we have felt the last few days. Like, just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Truly
well, the
unbelievable.
cool thing is with something like that is I put it out there for, like, our mascara team to know that this was happening, and on my Instagram. And, you know, I promote different things. I do different things, and you just kind of, you never know the response you're going to get. I've really never promoted much of, like, a charity or anything like this. And the moment, like, for me to barely click away from the screen and immediately have donations rolling into my Venmo, I literally started to cry. I was like, people are so amazing. So it's really cool for us to see all of the service coming, like, to be a part of that and to see it behind the scenes. And it's really cool for these girls to know, oh my gosh, it's all I can give right now, but I really hope it makes a difference. And I love that you said that, because every single dollar is what totaled such a monstrous amount. And it's so incredibly cool. Every person involved in something like this feels so good. And you just know that that's where your heart's supposed to be. Like, this is, and for me, it was like, no, this is not the end of the story. Like, when Ashley came to me and she was like, this is what, you know, we're doing, if anybody wants to contribute. I was like, this doesn't make sense for a mother who knows she's supposed to have another child to have money standing in the way. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not right. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you have so many amazing people who love you and people who don't even know you, who understand that same concept, that this can't be the thing that blocks somebody from having the person in their family who's supposed to be in their family. So I just think it's so exciting. And I really hope through even this podcast, like people who did contribute, who don't know you, can get to know you and hear your story a little bit when you share this out, so they can connect and understand that this is years and years and years of trying really hard to grow a complete family. And
Right.
so I think you guys are amazing as a whole, you and Casey. And I know the kind of resilience that it requires. I mean, I don't know personally, but I can understand to a point the resiliency that you would have had to have to face all of the letdowns and to put your heart and soul out there. It's such a vulnerable place to be. And I feel
Right.
like it's only appropriate that vulnerability be matched with some amazing, huge contribution, because you guys have given back so much to others. So yeah, I could talk and talk and talk about that, but I just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for you to get that baby.
I know. And that's the thing. I think that that's why we have honestly just openly tried to share everything about this experience. And it's not even over. Like, this is another chapter to it, where it's like, now we submit the papers and now people get to see, and we plan on sharing all of it. Like, from the doctors, I'm not going to show the doctor's visits, but I want to show people the depth that we go to as adoptive parents, like to get these children into our homes and into our families. And because a lot of people don't know, they think adoption is like this magical thing and that it can happen. And it's like, yeah, it is amazing. It is such a blessing, but it is work, and it is hard work, and it is emotionally taxing. And so we plan on sharing that. And then even after that, we just want to bring more awareness to families who are either looking to adopt, or just want to know. You can't believe the messages I get from people like, hey, my best friend is looking to adopt. What can I do to help her? Like, I think it's just expanded much beyond just families looking to adopt. It's people who are willing to help. And that's exactly why we feel so blessed, because people were willing to help us without even knowing us, but they were willing to just put their faith in our family, in knowing that this is going towards something we desire so much. And I know we're not alone. And that's what's hard, is that we know there are so many families out there who are fighting for things, whether it's adoption, or they're fighting for their health, or they're fighting for their marriage. Like, is just keep sharing the love and keep supporting each other. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that so much. I love you so much. We totally skimmed over Millie. I want you to tell a little bit about how that happened, because you said there was like some failed stuff in the middle. And then how did you know, or how did that come to be that you added her into your family as well?
Yeah, Millie's story is just as incredible as Olivia's, but in a different way too. And that's what I love, is that you never know. You have to go with the adoption. You have to literally just leap of faith in every different experience. So we had just had the non-placement go through, and it was and we were living in an area, a different neighborhood than we are now. And my daughter Liv was in first grade, and her best friend, Addie, was adopted as well. And Addie had a brother and a sister. And I remember seeing her sister, her name is Eliana. And I fell in love with this baby. Like, as strange and as creepy as that sounds, I was like, I love that child. Like, you know how you see kids and you're like, oh, they're cute. Like, oh, that's cute. No, there was like a connect. Like, I would see them at birthday parties. I would see them at school, and we knew the family, but it wasn't like a close connect. Like, we're friends, obviously, but like it was a little weird that I felt this strongly towards this child.
Right.
And so what we did was we actually, we had our papers in had our papers in, just submitted our papers with an agency. And I felt strongly that I just needed to call. Like, when I say had our papers in with an agency, that means like 6 months of work putting into like filling out paperwork for an agency. So it's not like just like a switch of like, oh yeah, that was easy. So I don't say that lightly. So we had our paperwork in, and I felt strongly to call this other agency, which I had talked to before. And my husband thought I was bananas. He's like, you're joking me, right? Like, we had just submitted our papers. Now you want to switch? Now's a great time. And you can't just like switch. It's not like a handoff from agency.
Yeah.
Like, it's a start over. And I called this agency, and I'll never forget, it was my birthday, and we were with family, and I was like, I'm just going to call him. So I did, and I got off the phone, and I said, we're switching agencies. And I didn't know why. I just was like, we have to switch agencies.
Oh my goodness.
And bless my husband's heart, he just knows that I just do things.
He just knows to roll with it.
He just rolls with it. And so I get the paperwork, and we were vacationing at the time, and so it was Christmas break, so we had a few days. So I remember sitting at the table, like literally filling out the paperwork, and this mom back to my daughter's best friend, her mom called me and said, "Hey, by the way, what agency are you going with?" And I said, "Oh, strangely enough, I literally am filling out the paperwork for another agency." And she said, "Is it Guardian Angel?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You're not going to believe this," but she said, "Eliana's birth mom is pregnant again and wants to place her baby. But she asked us if we would take the baby, but we're not in a position to do so." And I said, and I knew in my heart, like, here I am talking to another birth mom who has every desire to have another baby. So I'm walking on thin ice here, knowing, but in my heart, I knew, like, that's our baby. Like, that is our child.
Wow.
Like, hands down, that is our child. And I get off the phone and I said, "Case, like, I know there's this birth mom out there." And we literally, so 6 months it typically takes to fill out your paperwork. We filled it out in about 3 weeks, and everything that went wrong could have gone wrong during that time. And legally, like, an agency can't. The birth mom had requested that her daughter Eliana have a connection with whatever family she wanted to place with. But legally, the agency can't say, "By the way, there's this family that knows your daughter." They have to present all the cases to her. And I'm not kidding you, it was down to the day that we got our last paperwork from the government. They submitted the paperwork. They submitted to the birth mom all the possible families, and she picked us out and said, "This is the family I would like to place my daughter with."
Oh my
and
gosh.
it was then that they could say, "By the way, this family knows Eliana's family, and they will be close." Like, they're already so close. And so
Wow.
it was one of the coolest experiences. It was 100% meant to be. Our second, Millie, has this half sister that's literally a year and 2 days older than her. And we see each other a couple times a year. Like, it's amazing. And that is one of the probably one of the biggest things I have learned throughout life, is just like, you have to go forward and you have to just do that leap of faith, because you never know what the outcome will be. And it will always turn out. And I hate when people say this, like, "Oh, it's going to turn out the way it's meant to be." I hate when I want to, like, kick them in the kneecaps when they say that to me, because I'm like, that is like the word. Like, don't say that to someone, but you know in your heart, like, it really will end up the way that it's supposed to be. And I can say that about a lot of things. So anyway, Millie's our crazy 3-year-old.
She's the best. Both of your girls are so amazing. It's such, like, they just fit in your family so well, like, you could have been born yours.
We look nothing alike, obviously,
No.
but they have
personality-wise,
like, it is insane. And every kid, we all know this, every kid comes the way they're meant to be. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
And our kids are sometimes sadly spitting images of their parents. So, but
I would never say sadly.
But they're amazing, and I can't imagine my life without them. And I can't wait to see what is in store for us in the future. So
Yeah, for baby
that's
number
what's
3. I'm so
exciting.
excited for you. It's amazing. Okay, well, I love your story. I'm glad we shared all of it, and I'm glad that everybody's kind of up to date on where it is now. We'll have to do like follow-ups. We should just do a series with you and do
Let's
follow-up
do it.
episodes.
Let's
Okay,
do it.
I'm absolutely. You're too close to me to ever back out of it, so you have to do it.
You know where I
Even if
live.
you change your mind. I do. I do know where you live. Okay, so question that I ask everybody on this podcast, which I know you are familiar with because you've listened, is what makes you a marvelous mom?
Oh gosh. Well, now I'm gonna cry. But I think it's the reminder that I fight like crazy to get my kids here, and that should say like that says something about me. I hope is
Totally.
that I feel like I'm a marvelous mom because I will do like I know moms we do everything for our kids, but like I fight for them before I even know them, and that's what gives me like strength is knowing like that they're fighting for us on the other side, like they're fighting to join our family too. So
Yeah.
that's what I think makes me a marvelous mom is that I fight like crazy. No one's gonna stop me.
No, they're not. We're not going to let them, even if they try.
And that
I think
journey
you've got,
extends, throughout their
yeah,
life too, is that there's hurdles that
right.
we overcome every day and that I fight for them. So yeah.
You totally do. We just need to sing some Katy Perry. Like, this is my fight song. Or is that even Katy Perry? I don't even know if that's the right. Jeez. Let's pretend I know what I'm
think,
talking about.
I think it
Fight
is. Let's just say it is.
song.
It is.
I
Isn't
actually
it?
don't think it is. No. She sings Roar, but I don't think we'll put that in the show notes. I'm sure all the people listening to this right now are like, oh my gosh,
They're
Kirsten,
shaking their
it's
heads.
this
Oh my
artist.
gosh.
Like, she
Jeez.
doesn't even know. I'm Googling it because we just have to have closure on this episode.
I need to know this.
Oh, it's Rachel Platten.
Never would have guessed that. Never.
No, me neither. Me neither. Thank you, Rachel Platten, for your amazing fight
Thank
song.
you. Yes, thank you.
I love you, Amy. Your story is so inspiring. That's why I wanted to share it ASAP. And we really will. We'll do follow-up. We'll do a series when we have something new and exciting to report or just progress or changes. We'll do it. We'll bring it to you guys. I think it'll be really fun to follow along in real time with the journey. So
that would be amazing.
Thanks for sharing. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're welcome anytime, obviously. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Have a marvelous day.
Please tell me I'm not the only one who doesn't enjoy spending hours at the makeup counter or even on the makeup aisles at Target. If you are like me and you struggle and you feel like makeup should be fun and not stressful and overwhelming, then you need to check out Mascara Beauty. I am obviously a huge advocate for mascara. It's one of my favorite companies in the entire world. It's my favorite makeup line, and it has saved my life. I can do my makeup while I'm in the line for carpool. I can do it in under 5 minutes. So if you want to learn more about mascara, go to marvelousmascara.com to check it out.